So I'm just heading over now to Newcastle University. I've been asked to speak as part of the RIBA's Young Practitioners Forum event this evening. They're asking to hear about my background into architecture and about the PhD, so it should be a fun evening. Come with me as we go to the event. Nice to be in person again and not over Teams. It's lovely. Yeah, so I'm here today to talk primarily about my PhD that I've recently started, designing where we live. But I think I'd just briefly like to sort of talk about my background a little bit actually, because I think it's quite interesting for this forum. I started at Northumbria in 2008, graduated in 2011. I was lucky enough to find a placement, part one placement in Sunderland. It was just a small practice, it was 3 people and then myself joined. I wasn't really very confident when I sort of passed part one. I think I certainly grew in confidence, but going into a small practice where I was, I really grew as a sort of part one architect and grew myself as well. You kind of sink or swim in a little practice and you can't hide. I think people in this room should sort of think if they really wanted to do that. I liked it so much I ended up staying for 5 years at my part one. Now, I'm like, hey, you realise after 3 years you lose your funding. I didn't realise that. Well, I did and I forgot, so that wasn't very good. But on the side, I also did property renovations. That became a real interest of mine. When I realised though that, you know, even after 5 years I was sort of still just a part one, even though I was doing everything that sort of an architect was doing, I realised I had to sort of get back to university and get on with the masters. So able to get back to Northumbria. I loved the masters at Northumbria. It was probably one of the best things I've done really. It's not that I found it easy, but I think when you've been working for so long, you just know how to get the work done and how to sort of just do the work that gets you through a few sort of checkbox exercises. Out the back of that though, I wanted to do something completely different, so not a 4-person practice. I joined Atkins, which is not just one of the largest architecture companies, but one of the largest companies in the world. I think about 20,000 employees globally. But it was a small team in Newcastle and I really liked it. Admittedly though, it wasn't for me, I don't think. It's perfect for some people, but I just didn't quite, it just didn't quite settle for me. I'd always had eyes on starting my own practice, and I made, during COVID, I sort of realised time for a change, and I actually started my own practice called 19 Architects. But the reason I'm here today, last year an opportunity arose to start a PhD at Northumbria again. I just can't seem to leave Northumbria. So yeah, PhD. I never sort of saw myself ever doing a PhD, but it aligned with all the interests that I'd carried through from practice. So it's what's called a collaborative doctorate, which means actually working with a real world partner. That's the YMCA. The YMCA are looking to become a social landlord effectively, and sort of look, at least here in Newcastle, they're split up into different YMCA federations, but effectively they're looking at me to come up with a way to how that becomes feasible effectively. Now I'm just going to jump around a little bit, and my excuse is that's how a PhD goes. It's not a straight line, you jump around and then you go back to the beginning and you jump around. So if I do sound like I'm jumping, that's my excuse. As I say, it's with the YMCA. Ryder Architecture are also providing assistance. I sort of pass through the office every now and again, and everyone kind of thinks I work there, but I have to just say, oh, I'm just drifting through the day, just getting some advice. As the project evolves though, I think they'll definitely be there for advice, especially as I sort of come on and talk a little bit more about it. So the general idea is a housing solution to house the YMCA's young users. YMCA is a youth charity, largest in the country, but they support people from 18 to 30 officially, but from 14 to 40 effectively. So they support a lot of people. I'm going to jump to the next one. Originally, the project I was brought in, and this shows you how much these sort of things change and how quickly they change. I was originally brought in to develop a new build project for the YMCA on some brownfield land potentially, but when we started to realise how many empty homes were in the northeast, collectively, you can sort of see the numbers for each region, but collectively that's about 25,000 empty homes a couple of years ago. just before COVID numbers, so it might have changed a little bit, but it's still a staggering number of empty homes in the region. And it seemed criminal to be proposing new build when there was so many empty houses. The council, or at least Newcastle City Council, where the PhD is focused, they haven't got the budget to retrofit or to renovate or to maintain these properties. So they just, these little areas around the city, they just become ghost towns. So the first year has been focusing. I'll wrap through it, don't worry. First year has been developing actually then a retrofit project. We've managed to acquire a £250,000 grant, the YMCA. That's going to be used for the renovations of the properties. And I'm hopefully finally, it's taken a while, but finally going to be getting 2, 3, 4 properties from Newcastle City Council in an area of Newcastle called Eastgarth, which is out towards the airport. That 250,000 will go towards the retrofit of those properties. You see Gateshead College there, there's talk of trying to train up a youth force as well that the YMCA can draw on, but the big picture is actually we'll train up the YMCA users and give them a skill. So, it could be something as painting, decorating, that sort of thing, anything to electrics, plumbing, etc. And the YMCA really want a holistic approach here where they can actually look after sort of their users. And it falls back to this, so that badly drawn stool says potential on the topic, you can't see at the back, but we believe that for someone to fulfill their potential they need 3 things. They need to be economically engaged, live in suitable accommodation and have their health, and that fundamentally comes from having somewhere safe to live. Economically active or maximising welfare, obviously maximising benefits, to be in good health from a house, and to live in suitable. I need to define what suitable means in terms of housing, but that's part of the doctorate. And to live in affordable accommodation. And that's what we want to bring together in this initial phase 1 retrofit. As I say, we're hoping to get those properties agreed pretty soon. If all goes to plan, we should be on site in the new year, getting these retrofit. That will actually only be halfway through my PhD, so I think we might go back to the new build, but as I say, one thing I've learned with the PhD, nothing's straightforward, and you sort of jump around and you just kind of got to roll with it in a way. And that kind of falls into sort of the advice. I'm pleased a few other speakers tonight sort of said they struggled with what to say as a bit of advice, because you do sort of hear a lot, but it's what you sort of take in. Now, I haven't referenced where that quote is, but some people might know who that is, but have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They already know what you want to become. It's just saying sort of follow your gut and sort of listen to your gut feelings. I think I've sort of taken jumps and tried different things, but your gut knows what you want to do, and I think sometimes you just got to roll with it. Best piece of advice for emerging architects: follow your own path. I mean, I hope sort of all the speakers today have sort of shown you that there isn't one set route. I mean, I wish the apprenticeship had existed when I was younger, because I think it's excellent, but it's easy to think there's one way to do things, but I took 5 years at part 1. I'm 33 now, I've only been chartered for the past couple of years. There's not one way to do it, so I think follow your own path. And never stop learning. I've just started trying to make YouTube videos. I've never made videos before. It's cringeworthy and it's awful talking to camera, but I think it's important to try and throw yourself out of your comfort zone. So if anyone wants to check those videos out, more than welcome to. I'm going to try and start posting my journey, a sort of PhD journey on there. And yeah, give yourself space to get things wrong. That's the best bit of advice I'll probably give. Thanks very much.